Hello and welcome. My name is Harry and I am the piano mechanic. Today we're looking at pianos, how to choose the piano, how to choose the keyboard, maybe for yourself or maybe for a child. Any humanoid that has opposable thumbs can benefit from following along with this video, and I hope if you get something from it, you'll leave a comment down below. You'll click subscribe and that notification bell, and that really helps out our channel. So without further ado, let's start. So I'm moving around a little bit. I have two pianos here. Of course, everybody should have two pianos in their house, right? Okay, so first of all, I'm going to start off with this piano that's right behind me, and that is the Blüthner grand piano. So now we can see that with the grand piano we have the shape of the full iron frame here. You can see into the pictures. We'll see the dampers that are here. We see the pin blocks which you turn for tuning. Now the big difference with a grand piano over other pianos is the fact, if we get right down in there, you can see the hammers underneath, and if I hit a note, so the hammers come up underneath and strike the strings. Now the most important thing, if you're choosing a piano to learn to play piano on, is that you choose an instrument that is touch sensitive. What that means is that I can play this softly or loudly, and it gives me control and expression over the music. Now there's a difference between this. A grand piano is obviously more expensive. It's a beautiful piece of furniture as well as being a remarkable instrument. Now I know somebody out there in YouTube land is going to say that this is not the typical grand piano action that you would find in a grand piano today, and they would be absolutely correct. There are slight differences with this piano and its action. It uses Blüthner's patented action, which Blüthner used until the 1920s or so, thereabouts. Now, with the Blüthner piano, this piano here itself was made in 1890. That's right, 1890. Now, hands up, how many people who have electric anything from 1890? And of course I'm joking. So 1890, 4 years before the paperclip was invented in the US, the Wright brothers were Wright brothering, figuring out their aircraft and aircraft design. So that's a bit of trivia for you. Now we'll go around. My most patient wife has let me pull all this apart, so in our lounge room here, so that I can share this with you good folks. So this is a Ronisch. It's a 3-crown Ronisch, again made in Dresden in Germany, and you can immediately see the difference. Here the hammers are striking the strings. This too is touch sensitive. I'll put up the lid. The hammer comes forward and back to the rest here and strikes the string. Another thing you'll note is that there's 3 strings to a note until we get further down to the bass, go all the way down to the bass, and we go to 2, and then we have the big boys down the bottom here. Right. This is also something else to look out for you, is that it's a full iron frame. Now, in Australia in particular, in the UK it didn't matter so much, but in Australia we had names such as Broadwood, amongst others, Richard Lipp, that came with a 3/4 iron frame. That caused problems in our heat and environment, extreme temperatures in Australia, especially the days before air conditioning, and many of our mid-century and onward houses in Australia still don't have central air and heat. So that's difference between us and our American friends who love their central air and heat. So this piano here is an upright piano. Now, I just wondered, can anybody tell me why the strings are slanted and don't go straight up and down? There's a question for you. If you know the answer, put that in the comments below, and let me know also what type of piano you're looking at, or you're looking for, or what type of piano you have, and a bit of the history. So this Ronish is from, it's harder to date. It would say between 1900 and 1910, before World War I. Again, it is tuned, and I'll go right in here. It's tuned by turning these pins, and you need to isolate some of those strings, so you tune each individual string for each individual note here. Now, the big difference between a piano and other electronic instruments is that it needs to be tuned. Once you have the piano in tune, you can get away with, especially with an upright piano, of tuning it once a year. So that's something you would need to factor in. The second thing is, these pianos have lasted well over 100 years. These pianos are pianos that I hope to be able to give to my grandchildren and then their children. It will last and last and last and look really quite nice in your house. Now, I'll just give you a big no-no to start with. A lot of these older instruments, I'll just put down the lid up here, have been French polished. That means you cannot set your cup of tea, your frosty beer, your flowers or vase on top of here, because it will leave a mark that takes ages and ages to get out, if you can. I mean, you can, and sometimes you have to strip the whole thing back and reapply French polish layer by layer. So there is some maintenance involved with a piano, with an acoustic piano. Now, this is just part 1 in our How to Choose a Piano series. The next series we'll go into is something quite exciting and something you might want to think about. Here, I just put the camera so it's more stable. Get a quick whiz around. There we go. Stop you from shaking about. So the consideration here is that you can get a keyboard off eBay or off Amazon. You can get that keyboard maybe $100, $150, and it has its own little sounds. The problem comes in that most likely, in fact I'd be astonished if you found one that is touch sensitive, that can teach your student how to play with musicality and with feeling. Now, we do have electronic instruments that do that, and electronic keyboards that allow that. Probably the most famous would be, say, like a Rhodes electric piano. Not all of us can afford one of those, but that would be awesome. There's also what we call keyboard controllers that we plug into our computer, and we can choose a myriad of sounds, from effects like Star Wars to classical Steinway D concert grand sounds, to string sounds, to brass sounds, to very realistic rock band sounds, to using drum kits from the 50s through to today, to indeed create a full film score. Now, if your young person is into computing, which I guess that's just second nature to them now, they can run a cord to the back of their computer, download some sounds from Sound Library, and off they go. But that's the subject of our next video. So I hope you'll join me for part 2, which is going to explore digital instruments, to look at different ways of creating sound. And if you have any questions, please feel free to put them in the comments below. To also answer that question, what type of instrument are you looking for? Or if you have a piano, what type of piano do you have? I'd love to see what people have out there. And as always, please click subscribe and like. Follow us on Facebook and Instagram, and share this video with your friends and family and those who are possibly interested in looking at one of these great instruments for themselves. Take care.